the night.
On calcule mal le carburant, on est mort. On perd un moteur, on est mort.
It is a Belgian apocalyptic sci-fi drama series created by Jason George. The story follows a plane full of survivors who race to escape sunlight as the sun starts to kill everything in its path, and they must travel at night in an attempt to escape and find some place safe. As the plane heads west in an attempt to survive this catastrophe, the group must work together to keep the sun behind them and must deal with fuel shortage, irradiated food, hidden agendas, and other problems in their race to reach an underground military bunker. Many people are not talking about this show, but the show is really good and has interesting intense storyline which keeps you on the edge of your seat. The show has 2 seasons, and good news, 3rd season is on the way. And the series has 7.1 rating on IMDb and 88% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 9. Ragnarok. It is a Norwegian fantasy drama series reimagining the stories from Norse mythology by confronting them in today's world. The show takes place in the fictional Norwegian town of Edda, which is plagued by climate change and the industrial pollution caused by the factories owned by the local Judal family, the 5th richest family in Norway. But the things gets really interesting when a teenage boy Magna learned that he is the incarnation of Norse god, Thor, and Judals are actually 4 giants posing as a family in Edda, and when he finds that they are the ones who are responsible for the climate change and many mysterious things happening in town, he begins the fight against those who are destroying the planet. Overall, the show is very addictive from the start and has amazing story that keeps you hooked. It is a hidden gem on Netflix and my favorite in this list. And it has 7.5 rating on IMDb and 87% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. On number 8. 3%. It is a Brazilian dystopian thriller series created by Pedro Aguilera. The series is set in the distant future, where most of the population lives in poverty in an area known as the inland. While there is an elite group that is chosen to live in a virtual paradise, the offshore. And each year, the poor are forced to compete in a series of tests to get a chance to find a place amongst the elites and have the perfect life they dream of. While most of the unsuccessful candidates are simply eliminated, some fail to survive, leading to only 3% of the candidates succeeding. Amidst this, the story follows Michelle, one of the newest residents of the offshore, who has a strong sense of justice. With a whole lot of intense survival games, 3% is jam-packed with high-octane action that makes you want to binge-watch the whole first season in one sitting. And the series has 7.3 rating on IMDb and 85% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 7. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. It is a science fiction detective series created by Max Landis, and the show is based on the novel series of the same name by Douglas Adams. The show is based around the Dirk Gently, a holistic detective who investigates mysterious cases based on the interconnectivity of all things. While the main story focuses on Todd Brotzman, who doesn't have a lot going on in his life, but things turns quickly when he arrives at work one day and is sent up to the hotel's penthouse where he discovers millionaire Patrick Spring has been murdered. Later, an odd chain of events that unfolds leads to Todd becoming a person of interest in the crime and losing his job. But things get super interesting when he meets Dirk Gently, who has been hired to investigate the murder and believes that he and Todd are destined to solve the mystery together. But more problems arises when Tom is visited by wild, dangerous enemies, all associated with Dirk, complicates his life further. The show is absolutely brilliant and has a refreshing take on sci-fi and time travel genre, which is totally worth watching. And the show has 8.2 rating on IMDb and 95% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 6. Anne with an E. It is a period drama series loosely adapted from 1908 novel Anne of Green Gables. The series is set in late 1980s and follows the story of Anne, a 13-year-old girl who has suffered an abusive childhood in orphanages and the homes of strangers. But when Anne is mistakenly sent to live with aging siblings, Marilla and Matthew Cuthbert, who live on Prince Edward Island, but Anne, who proves to be uniquely spirited, imaginative and smart, transforms the lives of Marilla, Matthew and everyone else in their small town. Overall, series explores the adventures of Anne as she seeks love, acceptance and her place in the world. The series also tackles a range of issues such as orphaning, child abandonment, and social issues such as gender inequality, racism, bullying, and freedom of speech. Overall, The show is absolutely perfect in every way, and each episode makes you laugh, cry, and even scream in anxiousness for what will happen next. Believe me, you do not want to miss this show. And it has 8.7 rating on IMDb and 91% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 5. Travelers. It is a science fiction series created by Brad Wright. The series is set in a post-apocalyptic future where thousands of special operatives are tasked with preventing the collapse of society. These operatives are known as travelers, who have discovered a way of sending consciousness back through time directly into people in the 21st century. These travelers assume the lives of seemingly random people while secretly working as teams to perform missions in order to save humanity from a terrible future. Armed only with their knowledge of history and an archive of social media profiles, each traveler must maintain the host's pre-existing life as cover for the rest of their lives while carrying out missions in teams of 5. These missions are dictated by the director in the future who monitors the timeline, while the traveler's only aim is to save the world from a series of catastrophic events. And the show has 8 rating on IMDb and 100% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 4. Afterlife. I can say that there are only few people who have watched this show, and it's sad to see that this show did not reach to the audience it deserved. If you are looking to watch great feel-good show with amazing story, then you should start watching this now. It is a comedy drama series created by Ricky Gervais. The story is set in the fictional town of Tambury and follows newspaper writer Tony Johnson, whose life is turned upside down after his wife dies from cancer. After that tragic event, he decides to spend his life punishing the world for his wife's death by saying and doing whatever he wants, regardless of how it makes other people feel. Although he thinks of this as his superpower, but his plan is undermined when everyone around him pities him and tries to make him a better person. And comment down if you have watched this series. And the show has 8.5 rating on IMDb and 92% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 3. Mindhunter. Based on the 1995 true crime book, this psychological crime thriller series is created by Joe Penhall. The story is set in the 1970s and revolves around 2 FBI agents, Holden Ford and Bill Tench, along with psychologist Wendy Carr, who operate the FBI's behavioral science unit in Quantico. Together, they launched a research project to interview imprisoned serial killers to understand their psychology, with the hope of applying this knowledge to solve ongoing cases. Overall, this series is absolutely outstanding in every aspect. It has great story, amazing performances by lead actors. In short, this series shines in every department. And this is the kind of series which you should not miss. The series has 8.6 rating on IMDb and 97% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 2. Kingdom. It is a South Korean political period horror thriller series based on the webtoon, The Kingdom of the Gods. The series is set in the Joseon era, where the king is mysteriously stricken with a strange illness and is presumed dead. While the main story follows King's son, Crown Prince Lee Chang, as he attempts to find out what's going on with his father, but he is locked out of the palace by his power-hungry stepmom and her father, who are conspiring to keep the king's condition a secret until they can secure their grip on the throne. However, later it turns out the king isn't dead, but he's turned into a flesh-eating zombie. Soon the plague begins to spread throughout the kingdom, and now it's up to the crown prince to save his people and expose the evil conspiracy. Overall, Kingdom is an exciting show that's as much about systems of power as it is about zombies. Oh, and these zombies are a bit different than what we usually see in many zombie series or movies. These zombies can run and hibernate during the day, seeking shelter in dark spots like caves. And I can say that it is the best zombie series you will ever see. And it has 8.3 rating on IMDb and 96% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Number 1. Altered Carbon. It is a cyberpunk sci-fi series created by Lita Kalogridis. And it is based on the 2002 novel of the same title. The series is set over 300 years in a future where consciousness is digitized and stored in cortical stacks implanted in the spine, allowing humans to survive physical death by having their memories and consciousness re-sleeved into new bodies. And the main plot follows the story of a prisoner, Takeshi Kovacs, who returns to life in a new body and must solve a mind-bending murder to win his freedom. Takeshi is a specially trained envoy soldier who is downloaded from an off-world prison into a combat-ready sleeve at the request of Lawrence Bancroft, a wealthy businessman. Now surprisingly, Bancroft was killed, and the last automatic backup of his stack was made hours before his death, leaving him with no memory of who killed him and why. While police ruled it a suicide, Bancroft is convinced he was murdered and wants Kovacs to find out the truth. Overall, it is a unique and awesome sci-fi series with mind-blowing cinematography and crazy action sequences. If you enjoy cyberpunk films and sci-fi series, then you should watch this. It is one of the best sci-fi show on Netflix. And it has 7.9 rating on IMDb and 90% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. That's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. And do subscribe our channel.